All right, everybody. I've got a wonderful show for you today, and I'm still laughing from the time I just spent with today's guest. And it's hard to believe that I've known him for about 20 years. He's one of the most adored people that you can ever come into contact with, and he is loved by everybody once they meet him. His name is Dondi Wall, and he has spent his entire life here in the Lowcountry. Dondi was born and grew up in Ridgeland, South Carolina, which is just north of Hilton Head Island. And he was not a child prodigy by any means. In fact, he did not even play golf until he moved to Hilton Head Island to start his business career and working career when he was about 20 years old. And he was introduced to the game by a couple different friends that really got him started. And then once he got into it, like all of us, he was hooked. In today's show, we get into a lot of different things about the golf world, particularly here in the Lowcountry on Hilton Head and Bluffton. How it's changed over the decades, from the early days in the early 80s on Hilton Head, where there were a lot of different games to play in, and how when he got started, how he learned to play in those games, the diversification or diverseness of the people that played, from tour pros to club pros, amateurs, everyday Joes, and just the good time that they all had together, coming from all different walks of life. We also get into how the golf dynamic has changed as development has moved off of Hilton Head into Bluffton, which is the mainland, and then the different cultures that each of the, let's say, the 40-some odd courses are in the Hilton Head and Bluffton area, all the different cultures that each of these developments have, how they differ and how they might appeal to one person, not another, yet the one right next door might have a better appeal to a certain individual. Dondi is one of the most well-liked and most well-respected people in this area. And if you mention his name around anyone from here, almost always the first thing that you're going to get is a smile. And after listening to him in today's show, I'm sure you're going to have an idea why. So please give it up and give a big, big Golf 360 welcome to my friend and Lowcountry legend, Mr. Dondi Wall. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Golf 360 podcast. I'm the host, Pete Popovich. So you may be asking yourself, what is Golf 360? And Golf 360 is a show that was designed to introduce you to people associated with the game of golf to help you improve not only at your game, but also your life. Almost all of our guests are from within the industry in some way, shape, or form, but some of the guests we have are from outside the industry, and it mainly revolves around the business world with a few others scattered in here and there. Now, all of the guests that we have a few things in common. One, they all were highly successful and accomplished in their field. Two, each has something to pass along that will help you in your game and your life. And three, they were all more than willing to give back by passing along the things that they used to help them in their career, and even some of the mistakes that they made so that others don't make them in their journey. So I hope you find listening to them as enjoyable as I did interviewing them, and that each and every one of you benefits from the information that they so willingly and graciously pass along. This episode of the Golf 360 podcast is brought to you by Affinity Wealth Management Group. We all work exceptionally hard for our money, and none of us can afford to let that fall into the dark abyss of the big box financial service firms with their jack of all trades and master of none mantra, which basically means you become a number within a cookie cutter model, which is often accompanied by massive fees. Your future deserves more than average returns, and at Affinity Wealth Management, they ensure that your financial goals receive highly individualized, tailored attention from experts who are in the industry to be great and not average. As a client of Affinity Wealth, you will receive a customized solution to your customized life, keeping in mind your family's financial situation, values, and risk tolerance. Contact them today at 248-840-3863 or www.affinitywealthmg.com. This podcast is brought to you in part by Just Thrive Probiotic. You may be surprised to learn that your digestive system is the key to creating and maintaining the quality of your physical, mental, and emotional health, and it's one of the body's most essential systems. That's why the majority of nutritionists today highly recommend probiotics as an indispensable nutritional supplement. As a discriminating consumer, you've probably been searching for a probiotic that is proven, potent, and effective, and you found it. Just Thrive is your best choice for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Just Thrive Probiotic captures the power of hundreds of thousands of years of nature's design with a specialized Bacillus strain formulation that guarantees survivability through the stomach and upper digestive system. Supports optimum gut health, digestive health, immune health, and delivers antioxidants. Great for adults, kids, and the whole family. Use promo code GOLF360 at www.thriveprobiotic.com for 10% off your order. All right, I'm here with the Lowcountry legend, Dondi Wall. How you doing, brother?
Rock and roll, bud. Good to see you. Always.
Good to see you. How's the hip?
You know what? I've been fighting this thing long enough, so actually I've scheduled, finally, through the COVID. I'm getting it done in January.
Are you really?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
Really getting it done.
You know, everybody says that once you have it done, you look back and say, I don't know why I waited. It's because the pain's gone and you feel good.
I got news for you. I'm tired of busting it down the middle, 190. I'm sick of it.
You got to be the best one-legged golfer I ever played with.
Yeah, I get by. Yeah, hey, it is what it is.
Hey, how long you been playing? You've been playing a long time.
You know what? I didn't pick up a golf club till I was 21 years old.
Uh-huh.
Because I grew up in Ridgeland. I grew up hunting and fishing. So for me, golf, you know, my buddy Tony Nimmer and his brother Bill, who, you know, they're like legends in the area. They both played at Clemson. But anyway, I never got into golf.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I left Ridgeland and I moved to Hilton Head, which was basically right out of high school, it was basically 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 81, 82, 83, I started playing a little bit. I lived in Palmetto Dunes, right on Robert Trent Jones. So I went out and I started chipping balls. Like, hey, you know what? I kind of like this. I think I'll try this. So my first 9 holes with the Spanish Wells, Mike Carn was the head pro there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got hooked instantly.
That's awesome. You got the bug like everybody does.
Yeah, you know, it was fun. It really was.
What was it, being outside? Because you grew up outside.
Yeah, you know what? It was something new because I was on Hilton Head and I was working. And I'm like, okay, well, typically in the spring and summer, there's really not, which is good weather for golf, obviously. There was not a lot of hunting going on, a lot of fishing, but I'm like, all right, I got to get me a new sport here. So started playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was, hey, the rest is history.
You got better pretty quick, didn't you?
Actually, you know, when I started out, so Ron Cerruto basically taught me how to play golf at Shipyard. So I go to Ron, he's like, hey, you know, so he told me, he said, you know what you need to do? When you go play golf, I want you to have the 5-iron is the most I want you to have in your bag. Don't take any wood, just take your 5-iron and then go from 5-iron, 6-iron, and just don't worry about how far you hit it. Just make sure you keep the ball. So that's what I did. So Pete, my first 10 rounds, I didn't have anything but a 5-iron down. So, and then I eventually branched out to a 3-wood, and then, but he helped me a lot. He really did. Back Harry Rainier on Shipyard then, and Ron and I were good friends, and then I graduated from Ron, eventually to Doug Weaver, who was also at Shipyard later on, and so that, yeah.
Ron, because I worked with him when I was playing. He was my coach. Between he and Rick Berry, I'd grown. I moved here when I was 19, so I'd met Rick. Rick was one of the first people I met. The third day I was here, he had a party at his house for Labor Day. And, I mean, Hilton Head, as a 19-year-old, you come to Hilton Head for the first time. And that was in 92. So it was at the end of the really good era, I would say, right? Because by about 95, it was turning commercial. Would you say that? I mean, you've been here your entire life.
Pretty much.
So I was lucky to catch the very end, but and then I worked with Ron quite a bit when I was playing, but he had told me, you know, he came here after playing the tour, and I asked him how he got the nickname Toad. But were you there when that happened? Did you used to play in those money games?
I used to play in a money game. It was Billy Palmer.
Yes, it was Billy Palmer's game.
I played with Ron, but I played mostly with Billy. But yeah, it was it was one of those, okay, we're going to play. You give us some money when it's over with, and we'll give you another lesson. Yeah, you couldn't beat him. I mean, Ron, especially Billy, I mean, he could really get the ball in the hole. He was
Well, I think
amazing.
it was with strokes and all that other bullshit that's going on. And Ron had told me he shot like 65, something like that. He played pretty good.
I bet he did.
And he at the end, he's paying a couple $100 or Billy or somebody cut him on the last hole. And they come in and tell him, and he said Ron's face got so red and swollen that Billy said, "You're swollen up like a toad." And from that day on, everyone called him Toad.
See, I don't remember that. I mean that sounds like Billy though, because he reminded me a lot of Freddie Couples. He was just real nonchalant. He just smooth, silky swing, and just man, could he get the ball in the hole. But I never really remember that, but it makes sense.
You know, were there in those games? Because I only talked to Billy briefly about it a long time ago, and of course Ron, Gary Duran, and Drew Butler. But who else was playing back then in those games that you would play with?
You know what? I'm just trying to, because I always played with Billy. Because I'm just trying to think, and I know Gary Durham was there a lot. Drew, but they all had their little net. Everybody kind of played.
They were all the local club pros at the time.
Yeah,
right?
And then, oh man, I can't really remember back because there was a guy in Pamela Dunes. I can't remember his name, and he was a good player. I'll think of it before this is over, but you'll know him.
Craig Lehman was working there, so it was Craig and Ronnie Frisch and Joe Jackson. I think were all roommates.
I can't think of it.
And they all worked the bag drop, and they were all really good players. Back then.
All of them were good players.
Yeah.
All of them. Even I'll think of it before this is over. I just,
Did Bert Yancey play in any of those games back then?
You know what? I played with Bert. God bless him. He was a good dude. Though. I mean, we all have some kind of issue in life. Mm-hmm. Bert had more issues than others.
He was manic depressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I got to tell you right now, though, when you play golf with him, it was a joy. It's because he was like, he had two different worlds. He had the bad Bert world and the good. In his good world, man, he was a good dude.
Yeah, I think he took Ronnie under his wing because Ronnie had that too. He would be the best person in the world,
but he was nothing like Bert.
He wasn't that bad.
No. I remember in the parking lot one time in Harbortown, Bert went nuts and started taking his clothes off. And he was which never really surprised me. And actually, it was a disease. I mean, he was just a good guy.
Yeah, and back then they didn't have the type of treatment and medication, all that stuff like they do now.
And he was, but Ron was actually. Hey, they're all good guys. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their moment. That's all I can tell you.
So you were more or less a beginner then, right?
Actually,
or had you progressed to the?
I actually broke 80 less than a year after starting golf.
Okay.
Because I used to play with a guy at Spanish Well named Jerry Moyer. He was a real estate guy. He had an office on New Orleans Road. And my dad had an office in Jerry's building. So Jerry and I became friends. And his son was a good golfer. I can't think of his name now, but Jerry kind of took me under his wings. And then through Jerry, and I met a guy named Charles Poland. He was 3 feet tall. His dad was the ambassador to the Netherlands at the time. So his dad, Charles Senior Poland, mm-hmm. and Harry Rainier were really, really good friends. So I met Charles through Jerry. Well, Charles lived at 15 Mizzenmast, the 16th green at Harbortown. Well, he was one of these guys. He got his little trust fund check every month. And about 4 days into the month, he'd be calling the office for money. He was just that kind of guy. And he bought me my first set of golf clubs. I mean, Charles, he was a dwarf, but boy, he could play. So that's how I got going in the shipyard.
Mm-hmm.
And Charles introduced me to Ron. And anyway, it's just, it all came to be. So that had to be in, man, that was the early 80s. So, and then Charles would play sometimes, but he had a bad back, and he never knew when he could play. But he could actually play. He was pretty good for his handicap. But Harry and the Polands, they were really close family. So Charles kind of got anything he wanted when he went to Shipyard, and I always tagged along with him, and that's how I got to meet everybody.
Were those games, was it a conglomerate of the pros and
oh, yeah, always.
And local business people? And
there
amateurs?
Was always, see, that's why I can't remember the guys, and most of them are really good golf. I kind of, once I met, when I met Billy, and I'm going to tell you in a minute, I can't think about it, but I'll tell you in a minute, because I became instant friends with him. Because I'm happy 24/7. And then there was, gosh, I'm going to tell you his name. He left Shipyard and he moved to, he had his family owned a golf club in Meadowbrook. I think it was Meadowbrook Country Club. He was a head pro at Shipyard. I can't think of his name, but I'll think of it in a little bit.
Not David Crosby.
No.
David was at Shipyard for a long time.
Not David. It seemed like it started with a D, but he left Shipyard, his family owned I think it was Meadowbrook Country Club in and around Spartanburg.
Mm-hmm.
So his parents got old. He left Shipyard and went, I can't think of his name now, but I can't remember who was playing back then, but they were all really good. I wasn't that good, but they would always give me shots. But
right.
I was,
But that's how you got to get better, right? You got to play.
I would donate. I was just like a donator. So, but it was fun. You know what, though? It was worth every penny of it for me, though, Pete, because it taught me the game of golf.
Uh-huh.
When you go out there and you play with somebody that's good, you're going to play better. You'll play better.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was all good for me.
Well, that's one thing ever since I've known you. God, it's hard to believe it's probably 20 years plus now that you, the one thing about you is you always played better the more intense or the more important the tournament or the round was.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so was that developed in that time, or is that just something you developed as a kid?
It did. You know what? Like I started hunting. I got my first shotgun when I was 8. Believe it or not, I focus on what I'm doing. And when it really matters, I super focus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I'm playing, it's just like at Chessie. We just played in Memory Guest, my buddy Mark and I. Saturday, it was pouring down rain.
Oh, it was awful. So
it was freezing, blowing sideways. So Jake comes out and says, "Hey, play or forfeit." I'm like, "Man, I'm in. Let's go. I don't care. I'm in." So, but for me, with a bad hip, I don't hit it very far anyway. I never got in trouble. We went out, we played. I play to win. When it's on the line, I'm a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't panic, so to speak. You play with these guys, they got a 3-foot ball. Well, I can't believe you're not giving me that putt. I'm like, well, dude, hey. But, and they break out in hives when it's time to, I don't, nothing bothers me. So that was my key to playing good is just block it all out and play your game. So,
and is that something that your family has? You think it's like a genetic thing, or is you just developed that as a kid?
I got to believe that because nobody in my family played golf. No one. My dad never played it. If there was a fundraiser and it was a scramble, he'd come out, play out of my bag.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to say, I certainly didn't inherit that. You know, my family they hunted and fished. No one played golf. So, but I will tell you this: I'm very competitive.
Oh, yeah. Anyone around here knows that.
No matter what I'm doing, I'm competitive. So I don't mind if I lose, but I don't want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I want to win, and I don't want to let my teammates down either. If you need me, I'm in. Let's go. So that's what I'm all about.
Now, you've got multiple businesses. You got a lot of different things going on. Do you get to play as much as you want to or used to?
I just turned 60 back in September, and although I love to play golf, it's not as vital for me, or not vital, but it's okay if I don't get to play.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, man, I had to play. Let's play. I got to play. Now, if I don't get to play, it's okay.
Was there ever any thought, especially because you grew up with the Nimmers and they're very good at golf, as you mentioned. They both played at Clemson, and Bryson's doing really well now. I had him on the show. Was there ever any desire to go play amateur tournaments, either in the state or?
I tell you what I did. I played back in the day. I don't anymore. They had this 40+ tour. It was like the South Carolina Golf Association. I played in every single one of those. Mm-hmm. I just loved it. It was. I never was. I represented myself quite. I wasn't like the worst guy out there, but I never really. There was a lot of good amateur golfers in South Carolina. So I think I finished third one time, in the middle of really good players. But I never really got hooked into the tournament thing because I worked all the time. So, and then I used to live in Berkeley Hall, and oh boy, I'll think of his name in a minute. He owned Hippo.
The English guy.
Yeah. What was his name, Pete?
George was his son.
Yeah, George.
Thacker.
Thacker.
George Thacker Sr.
His dad, yeah. He had a scratch golf tour, little thing that he was doing in the area.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of and I wasn't a scratch golf, but they let me play anyway. And I was pretty competitive in that. So it's not about winning or losing. You're learning the game. Every time I go play, I try and figure out something new. So, even at 60,
Always learning, right?
Yeah, and then, it's all about, listen, here's the bottom line. If you want to win, you got to play good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play good, you ain't winning. And I don't want to hear, you got to play good. Period. So yeah, Thacker. He was Howard.
Howard, yes, that was it.
Oh,
Howard
he was
Thacker.
a nice guy.
I can remember one of the first times he came to Berkeley because I was working there then, and it was a member guest, and I don't know, he flew in from the UK, and we put all the travel bags and everything down in the bag room, and somebody misplaced his, and we're looking for it, and I felt bad because here's a guy, he didn't complain once the entire weekend about any, just very positive, very upbeat, very nice. And then, they lost his bag, gone. They must have given it to somebody else. And he was disappointed, but he didn't pitch a fit.
Right.
I think the club ended up giving him one. Hey, we lost your bag. We're sorry, but sure he wanted his. But he could have really, like most people there. You remember what it was like. They would just pitch a fit just to have attention.
Complain about everything.
Everything. It was amazing. I never seen anything like it.
Oh, he was a good guy.
But he was a very good guy.
And his son George, he was good. I love George.
Do you stay in touch with him at all?
You know what? My daughter Madison and George went to school together. Not Madison, Morgan. My daughter Morgan and George went to school together. So every now and then he hits her up on George. Yeah, Howard. I haven't heard from Howard in years.
Yeah, I think he had a hard time in the credit fallout, and then I think when George was still here, he told me his dad started a shirt company.
Yeah, selling shirts in Taiwan or somewhere crazy like that.
I hope that he did really well with that.
Me too. He was a good guy.
Very good guy.
Never had a bad thing to say about anything.
Mm-mm.
So and actually, he was one of those people that really appreciated being over here.
Yes.
And it was like, golf for me is a privilege. Because let's face it, it's not an inexpensive sport.
Mm-mm.
So if you're a golf, it just is a privilege for me.
I tell people all the time, if I didn't get most of my stuff for free, I probably wouldn't play.
Well, I mean, I get it.
I would, but it wouldn't be, the same. It'd be hard. I get basically, I've been pro in this area for 20-some years. It's like having a membership to 41 golf courses.
Right, exactly. Right.
So long as you don't abuse it, the local PGA is a very close-knit group for practically speaking.
And there's a lot of good players.
Right, a lot of good players. You call someone up and say, hey, I got my dad in town or my uncle, or mind if we come out and play? And, just so long as it's not at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning,
right,
at peak time, they say, yeah, sure, come on, I'd love to have you. So, yeah, it's a great spot, and somewhat envious. I've only been here 30. You've been here 60.
Yep, I have.
What was, as you were growing up, I'm sure you went to Hilton Head, and you've seen Bluffton make massive changes, but Hilton Head, what was it like watching all these golf developments be built? What was it like? What was the thought process locally? Like, are they ruining our island?
Not for me. Not for me. It was growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you something else too. Golf, being out playing golf, is a good environment. So it's like my daughter Madison swam at West Virginia University. Swimmers are in a good environment. There's always, it's just, and golfers, if you're out, first tee, whatever you're doing, it's just a really good environment.
Mm-hmm.
So more golf for me, as far as I'm concerned, the better. So, I mean, it's just it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I remember playing with PJ Tanner at Indigo Run one day, one of the local games, and I asked him, I said, what was here when you were a kid? And he said the whole north end of the island used to be called the North Carolina Hunt Club.
Yeah, it was nothing.
There's nothing there.
Nothing.
That's amazing.
As a matter of fact, I can remember there was a roadside diner up by Pamela Dune where Longhorn used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a
Now it's that Lucky Rooster.
I think. Lucky Rooster, right.
Yeah.
There was roadside restaurant. Everybody ate there. There was a 7-Eleven on the corner of Lagoon Road, which is now an empty gas station. Then there was the William Hilton Inn, which is now the Grand Ocean. But there was really nothing.
Was that where Fitzgerald's restaurant was?
Fitzgerald's was in the Adventure Inn. Okay. Yes, it was there.
That was that originally.
That was the Adventure Inn. And it's now actually the Grand Ocean next to the Adventure Inn. Part of it, of the Ocean Dune, is still there. It was a building that was there and now the Carolina Club. So, and now there's a new one. I don't know. It's just, but the Grand Ocean is next door.
Well, yeah, when they were building Grand Ocean, I was
Ocean Oak is where the Adventure Inn was.
I was living across the street at Ocean Breeze, and Philip James and I both worked at Sea Pines back then. And one night he calls me about 11 o'clock on a Friday night, and he had been drinking. I'd been drinking, so he said, come on, let's go down to the beach and hit some golf balls. So we go down there, and this is January. So back then, there was an off season, right? Remember, basically after Thanksgiving, a little bit of Christmas, there's a long off season.
Oh yeah, actually from Labor Day to Thanksgiving was off season.
People would shut down.
Yeah, exactly.
So we go down there, and they just have the skeletal structure of the Grand Ocean down. We're hitting balls within it, and we're just laughing our ass off listening to balls ricochet. I mean, we're teenagers. So what have we made? Hopefully we didn't mess up any HVAC systems, and they found a golf ball later. But yeah, I remember when that was built.
Yeah, it's super nice now.
Yeah, it's very nice what they've done down there.
Yep, and but once again, it's part of growth.
Mm-hmm. And Bluffton has just gone
nuts,
crazy.
And you know what? And it's just, growth. Actually, Bluffton is an asset for Hilton Head because it actually provides a little bit of affordable housing, which there ain't a lot of difference now in our environment, but it still provides a little bit of help for Hilton Head because it is just nowhere on Hilton Head.
Well, right, and that's an issue with the bridge needing to be rebuilt and all the golf courses down there who have had people like at Greenwood. Greenwood has their usually has their Christmas party end of the year, and there's people there that I sit there and watch that have 40 years they've been working at the golf course, and they're coming from Tillman, and they're coming from Yemassee,
Estill,
and I mean that's an hour and a half
Walterboro,
all those places, and they've been coming for 40 years.
Oh yeah,
and so all these Sea Pines and Palmetto Dunes and Shipyard and all of them are having a big concern that if when they redo the bridge and it really becomes a major issue on transportation, they're going to lose all these employees to other places, Savannah or Beaufort, or because now there's more competition. It's like that's a very delicate thing to have to work with or work around when they're going to have to build a new bridge.
Well, I got news for you. We can't afford to lose anymore. We don't have enough employees now. You can't, but nobody's really stepped up to the plate. And, I mean, even there's enough rural in Jasper County to somebody need to step up. And here's the thing though, Pete. If you had, let's just say you had affordable housing in Jasper County, which is quite convenient to Hilton Head, and you could find something there for $800 or $900 a month, you're hitting the jackpot. I mean, it's just a slight, and it's still affordable enough for some guy to go out there and buy 20 acres of land. Throw up some 1 or 2 bedroom condos and provide some housing. That's what we're all suffering with. It's bad enough that we can't find any employees, but in fairness to the employees, there's nowhere for them to live.
Right.
So I mean, for you, until the COVID hit, I would bring kids in from Romania and Lithuania, but then the COVID hit. Well, you can't bring them in anymore. And it was just a challenge. It still is a challenge.
Yeah, and Hilton had an employee issue well before COVID.
Oh, and if anybody out there needs a job, I'm your man. Let's go. No, I'm serious. It's just it's sad.
Did you have the first taxi cab service on Hilton Head?
No, actually. Oh boy, I'm gonna say Charlene Barrett, who owned Lowcountry at the time.
Oh, that was the shuttle to the airport.
Yeah.
Tall lady.
Yes.
Pretty.
Charlene.
Yeah, Bob Franey. You remember Bob from Berkeley?
Yeah, lived in Turnberry and Palmetto Dunes.
They dated for a while.
She was one of the first, and my dad was right in there at the same time. And that was, it wasn't a lot. The Fergusons they always had something going on. Ferguson Transportation, but yeah, they all kind of sort of developed at the same time, really, when the demand became quite evident.
Not Robert Stickle. He's one of my neighbors. I don't know if you know Robert. He grew up here. He's about 50, but he told me that the McDonald's on 278 off of Dillon Road was put there because all the people turning left, coming off Dillon Road on 278, going to all the golf courses, that place, McDonald's on the right side, and they wanted to try to capture all the people coming from the airport. That's what he was told. Does that hold true? Because back in the 70s and 80s, McDonald's was like the thing to do.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm going to disagree with that because that McDonald's and then the Pizza Hut right next door closed up.
Yeah, Pizza Hut shut down.
And then Sam's closed up. And that, although I think most of the shops do pretty well there, you know what? I guess back in the day maybe, but this day and time.
Yeah, not nowadays it's completely different.
Yeah, because I know that Pizza Hut's been closed for years. And it was always pretty, I guess back in the day, maybe, yeah, okay, this is good. But now, nah.
No, now it's just, you drive by it before you realize it's there.
That's right, yeah. And then now they've switched the airport, so I'm going to a degree, yeah, you're right. But now it's, it's changed. It's just the way it is. Things change. You can go from good to bad overnight anymore.
Let me ask you, I always wondered how the Nimmers got so good at golf. If they grew up out close to you.
Listen, Tony and I mean, we were childhood 3-year-old. We were friends.
Right, because their family had the sod farm.
They did. And Actually, when Tony and I were friends, they didn't have a sod farm. We used to go dove hunting out there. It was like a crop farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, Mr. Freddie's like, you know what? I'm going to start planting grass. So the sod came much later. I mean, I don't even think, when Tony went to Clemson, I don't even think they were doing sod then.
How did he get so good at golf?
Sergeant Jasper Country Club.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. It was, and seeing back then, Tony and them, they were all playing golf. We were all hunting. And Tony, they hunted. I mean, they hunted and fished. And then, but the Sarge, it spit out a lot of really good players. It really did.
That's the only golf course I think in all the counties here that I have not played yet.
Oh, well.
I got to get over there.
Well, Congaree's got it now.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what happens.
Well, now that I take that back, there is one in Hampton. There's a 9-hole course up in Hampton. There was a group like the Battens,
Yeah.
the Wise,
yeah, I know
that they were going to kind of get together and bring that back to
well, it was 18, and then times change, and it goes to 9, and yeah, I think they're actually working on that now. And then Penny Branch.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Was over there. It was awesome, and then time changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just. I don't even think it's open anymore.
No, they closed years ago.
And back in the day, it was nice.
Those greens were like mini Augusta.
They really were.
And they get the Calcutta going, and those greens, they'd
awesome.
run at 12, 13. Chris would have those things rolling so fast.
Yeah, and then Chris left, and he went to Columbia to, I think, some country club there. He was a superintendent. And then his dad, just like, okay, that's it, over with.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the members, the Elliots, Robert and Dickie, they decided, you know what, we're going to save this. And then I think they just lost interest because it became more of, instead of a place to go play golf, it became more of a job.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, that's it, we're out.
Done.
So, and then that ended it. And that was a shame, man.
That was a great golf course.
Yeah,
I mean, from the tips, what would you say, 6,500 maybe?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it was short. It was short and fast.
But the greens were complex.
Always
if you didn't
good.
know it, they would eat you alive.
It was good.
You could shoot. If you were a really good player and you got on a roll, you could shoot low 60s pretty quickly.
Matter of fact, to this day, I never will forget Tommy Gainey shot 61 out there, 2 glove.
Mm-hmm.
And I never will forget. He thought he's like, man, this is great. So of course,
For anybody that doesn't know Penny Branch, I mean, there were no houses. The only house, what was it? McKinley, was that their name? McKinney.
Chris McKenzie.
The only house was their parents' house. I think was right there off of 18, wasn't it?
Right. Well, it was. Yes.
You drove past it when you went down there before
Correct.
you turned right.
It was out on the highway.
Yes.
But it was basically backed up to the golf course.
And that was the only house in the whole golf course.
And then, the pro shop was a home.
Right.
And then whoever couldn't quite make it home slept on the couch.
So. I remember we had a group went up there one day, and there was like 3 cars full. I think we had 4 groups of guys. And Scott Stillwell was still the director of golf over at Colleton. And it was a Sunday. And he goes into the pro shop, which was the grill and everything else, like you said. They had the couch over there. And he says, can I get a Bloody Mary? And she says, well, we can only serve alcohol to members on Sundays. And he goes, well, what does it take to become a member? And she says, well, you got to pay us $5.
Sign right here.
Sign right here. What's the
You're
membership?
a member now.
$5. And here's your member number. And he comes out laughing. He's double fisting, laughing his ass off.
It was the best.
That was awesome.
It was. It really was. I mean, that was a sad day in golf when that place closed down.
Well, there was a course. Do you remember Bill Harper? He was an assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Thin guy. So I used to work. I lived with him, and I used to work with him. He used to tell me of a golf course, and I think it was on the way to Augusta, and it was a old family owned it, trust fund. The guy that had it at the point in time was a trust fund guy. And he would only let his friends and their friends come out there. And when you made the turn, they would have a huge spread top shelf liquor, pork, steaks, chicken,
Hold on.
turkey, anything you want.
God.
If you said his name, I'd know it. But he'd been up there a bunch.
It was in Mike Corn used to go up there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Mike used to help him with the course.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a minute. It was I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where was that? Was it on the way to Augusta?
It was close. It was 45 minutes from here. It was Georgia. Gee, I can't think of where it was now. But I'll think of it in a minute. But it was actually a one-man show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the guy's name, but hopefully before I'll remember that. It was Mike. They used to play cards and drink and play golf, and it was like no holds barred. It was in not Ellery. No, I'll think of it. I know exactly who you're talking about. I just can't think of what it is.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there. Today it's still there.
Mm.
But it's a 9-holer now. Might have always been a 9-hole.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was always a 9-hole.
And they maybe they had a couple sets of tees that just give a different.
They did.
Look.
Well, it was like the Sarge was way back in the day. It was 18 holes, but now it's 2 sets of tees, and it was, I don't know.
Well, and so you were part owner of that not long ago, weren't you?
I used to own it, yeah, and then I got it, and my buddy Bobby Miller from Ridgeland, who worked for Textron, yeah.
Hey, do me one favor. Just pull the microphone just a little closer.
Anyway, Bobby grew up with Tony, and Bobby was a really good player, and they were all Sarge. So it was either Sarge or nothing, really.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Sarge kind of got in financial stress. So long story short, I took it over, and then I got with Bobby, who was working with Textron. He helped me get a little bit of equipment. He helped me with the green, and we got it in really, really good shape for 9 holes. And I'd get Tony to have his annual parties or whatever, or whoever, and then, Kerry Stoffel, who was a really good golfer, worked for Tony. And anyways, and Kerry's still a member there. So they would kind of like, okay, you got to go play at the Sarge. So then I got it really good condition. I turned it back over to them, to the members, and then it's, long story short, now Congaree has it.
Mm-hmm.
So
and do they use it as part of the charity that they?
Well, supposedly, the word on the street is they're going to fix it real nice, and Congaree's thing is for kids,
right?
And they're gonna, because the kids in Jasper County really have nothing, honestly. And then he's going to target, and they do at Congaree too. They do a great job with the kids out there. So they target, but unfortunately, they can only target so many kids. So the Sarge will help them target more,
Like an overflow.
Exactly. So they can, and it's a transition in process. That's basically. Mm-hmm. I haven't been out there lately, but anyway, going back, Bobby he helped me get some equipment that was really needed out there, and it was pretty nice at one time for 9 holes. So, but the same old guys still play out there. The same guys. One of them, this just recently happened, because the dues are like nothing. Let's just say all in there $1,000 a year.
Wow.
And then when Congaree took over, they was like, oh, you want to pay your year, and they send you out a bill for a year in advance. They all went into panic mode. Oh, no. We pay our dues every 3 months. We pay quarterly dues. So, okay, that's fine. They literally, one of them like, what's going on out here? I'm like, dude, it's okay. Oh, they went into panic mode. I was like, if you'll give it a minute, it'll be nice. And I think it will be. And I think I'm hoping they'll honor the old school guys that have been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And just let them keep paying their $1,000 a year. Or
Yeah, it doesn't hurt them at all.
no,
Congaree, those guys
they could be members for free.
right.
What difference does it really make? And I get catering to kids, and I'm all for that. But you also gotta, you gotta remember the guys that
kept it alive, or else it wouldn't be there.
That's exactly what they did. They kept it alive. So that's kind of where that goes.
Do you watch much golf on TV? You follow tour
what?
and all that stuff?
I'm a Sunday 3:00 guy. You know what I mean?
Because you played with enough tour pros. I mean, you were at Berkeley when Kyle Stanley was living there.
Yeah,
You
Kyle
played a
and
lot
I
of
were
golf
good
and
friends.
buddies with him. And who else? I mean, and you through the years, you've seen enough of them come through there. You played with a bunch of them.
I did, and I played with guys that are nobody. Like McGirt, Will McGirt, and Richie Wierenski. And then when Richie went and won the big break, that was his big break. So they're all. But what's really cool about all those guys? They never forgot where they came from.
No, I remember playing with Will at Patriots Point on the Tar Heel tour back in 05 or 06, and he's such a good guy.
He's a good dude.
That was awesome to see him win it.
He actually lived. I think he bought a house in Berkeley.
Yeah, I saw him. I didn't stop to talk to him. I saw him walking his dog the other day. I was in there. We went back to Learning Center with my brother, and I saw Will. He has, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 kids. Is that right?
Little
and his
kids,
dog.
yeah.
Little kids, and they're walking a dog. And I didn't realize that he had moved back in there.
Yeah, he did. As a matter of fact, he got some. I got a good friend, Lynn Hines from Spartanburg, and his son TJ, and his Will and those all. So now Lynn had a cottage in there, so it's the next generation now, more so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like, and TJ got little kids, and they got little kids. But what's nice about those guys, though, Pete, like Will, for example, is like, because Will used to play what's in the Wednesday game. And I always thought, man, this guy's got talent. And Kyle Stanley had the most talent of anybody I'd ever seen in my life. But if you call them on the phone, like, hey, can you come? They'll come play with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, McKnight was like that too.
Who?
Tom.
Oh, yeah, he's a gentleman. He'll come in, but they don't. It's not like, okay, I'm out of that phase. See you later. No. They'll come back.
Yeah, it's their neighborhood. Kind of like you said, that's kind of what they grew up with, and that's how they're going to keep it wherever they live. They haven't changed. The money hasn't changed them. The fame hasn't changed them.
Yeah.
I mean, Kuchar seemed like that pretty
Same
down there
thing.
because he and McKnight were buddies. He was out to Berkeley quite a bit.
He don't forget where he came from. No.
When you watch golf on TV, because you've been around the game for a long time, what do you think that the game as a whole, not just the PGA Tour, but the game as a whole, is in a good place?
All you hear is about golf done, golf done, golf done, golf done. But I'm going to tell you something. Wednesday, I went out because we've been kind of thinking about, we're going to get the Wednesday game back. Because on any given Wednesday, we'd have 40 guys. As a matter of fact, one Wednesday we had 5 tours playing in the Wednesday game. So anyway, and Stephanie Meadows was a LPGA at the time. She was playing in Berkeley. But anyway, I went out and played. My buddy Mark, who I played the member guest with at Chichassi, I brought him along as a member at Hilton Head Lakes. I'm like, you know what? We haven't played anywhere different in a long time. So me and Tim, my buddy Tim Weeby, and Mark and another guy from Savannah, we went out, and John Hunley, he's the pro. Head pro out there. He's like, yeah, come on out. I was thinking, maybe we'll get the Wednesday game at Hilton Head Lake. So anyway, long story short, to answer your question, so we go out, we tee off at 12:30, and it's like mass mania out there. There's so many people playing golf. So I got to tell you now, golf ain't going nowhere. It is it's flourishing right now. That's just my opinion. So I'm thinking we're not going to be having it out here unless we're teeing off at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Because it was nuts out there. There was so many people playing golf.
I think Jimmy Yu at Old South told me that I think This year was even better than last year.
I believe it, and I think next year will be better than the pre. It's just golf is just, and you hear these like, oh, Rose Hill's closed. I go by there and Rose Hill's not closed. There's people out there playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the money's still there to capture the courses that are sinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody wants to be part of golf. It seemed like that to me.
Yeah, I think it's doing very well.
Man.
COVID, unfortunately, as bad as it's been, has been a blessing for the golf industry.
I think so. I do.
And I think COVID, the ancillary benefit is COVID kind of reestablished spending time with people that you care about. And it gave people the time, at least last year and even to some extent this year. It's like, okay, let's reevaluate what's most important. As people are learning that they're not pushing themselves 100 hours a week maybe like they were before.
Right.
And now that, hey, I'm spending more time with my kids, or I'm spending more time with my friends, and we're going out to play. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how much I missed this. And now it's like, I need to reevaluate, where I spend my time during the day.
And as you just said, a lot of these guys have more time now to play golf because they've done. I mean, I got to tell you, golf is flourishing.
What do you think about the distance debate and the technology and all that? That seems to always be in the forefront.
It's all about money. We got a Callaway driver here, $7.99. You're going to hit it 4 yards further. And next year we're going to have one for $7.99. You can hit it 6 yards further. You know how it goes, Pete. Mm-hmm. This is the best. And then next year they put a different color number on it or whatever. But every year but listen, the technology is, of course, I think if Jack Nicklaus would have had this technology, he might have won 50. You know what I mean? But
if you were the king of the golf world, would you change that, like bifurcation, different rules for amateurs and pros, or would you limit the pro games, seeing what some of them are doing right now? And
you know what, though? If it's not really broke,
mm-hmm.
why are you going to fix it? It doesn't seem broke to me.
Right.
You know what? And if you're going to keep hitting it farther, this guy right here wants to hit it farther, you got to step up to the plate. I don't know. If it's not broke, I don't believe in fixing it.
Yeah, I think it's like an evolution that I don't know who said not long ago. One of the guys that just tracked this information, that it's quickly becoming on the PGA Tour, if you don't swing your driver at a minimum of 118 miles an hour to 120, you're going to have a very hard time winning or keeping your card or getting to that elite level.
Right.
And I don't think that's so much technology. I just think that's evolution of sport.
It had nothing to do with it. It's all about what you're willing to sacrifice. You take Dustin Johnson out there in the pool swimming and he works his butt off to hit it 4 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It's what are you willing to do to stay in the game? The technology gets better, obviously, but you got to get better. You know what I mean? You can't depend on, it's just, you got to make yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
And then take the technology, and then you're a winner. So.
And that's what I think you've always had, that we talked about earlier, was you always got better as it got the pressure ramped up. And
yeah.
So I think that wherever you learned that was, maybe it was the guys at Ceruto telling you stay with a 5-iron and you having the wherewithal to do that, but learning, okay, this is where I am, I'm going to get better, instead of saying, okay, I'm kind of a novice, but I want to be here and I want to have it now, right? I don't want to take the steps to get there.
It ain't going to happen.
And it ain't going to happen.
No.
And then you get in this mental anxiety, and it just, you go through that for 20 years of playing golf and you never learn how to do things the right way.
That's right.
Which is a shame.
Hey, listen, it's about you, not about the technology.
Have you seen anything that they have where Greg Norman, they have that, I think it's the LIV, is it the Tour? Here, I wrote it down. LIV Investments, and he's the CEO. Where there's a group that they're pumping $200 million over the next 10 years, I believe, and like the tour is mostly in and around Asia, and I think they're going to try to. Well, their thing is they're going to holistically improve the health of professional golf. I think it's more Norman having it. Yeah, the money, and then he kind of felt shunned or really pissed off when he came up with that idea for the World Golf Championships, World Tour. And the tour said, no, we're not going to do that. And then they went ahead and did it on their own.
Right.
I think he's been waiting for the opportunity to kind of create a competing world tour against the PGA Tour. It seems like it's inevitable it's going to happen, right? Those guys from Dubai wanted to do that. And now Norman's got a group that wants to do it.
Well, here's the bottom line. If you're Greg Norman, somebody's going to listen to what you got to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. And if you're a guy that wants to invest in golf and Greg Norman is your leader, that sounds pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just...
most anything he touches turns to gold.
What's that?
Most anything he touches turns to gold.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? It's all about... It's who you are. It's just like... if like LeBron James, for example, if LeBron James decides he's going to have the LeBron James basketball, whatever, chances are you're not going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But Greg Norman, he's like an icon,
right?
And he, did he get a little bad rap there? Yeah,
A little bit.
But he can still make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can. So
yeah, he's got enough pull, and when you have that kind
of
pull,
Greg Norman himself is a lot of pull.
Mm-hmm.
Forget everybody that's going to follow him. Just think of him just as a person.
Yeah, the access to resources and the money people he has access to connections to.
Think about this, Pete. Stop and think about this. If you are some Joe Schmo golfer, which we all are to a degree, and Greg Norman says, I'm coming into town, you want to play with me, it's $500. Do you know how many people would get in line to play with him? You have any idea how many people? He'd have to play for a month to get to the end of the line.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. That's just my opinion. So
I think you're right. The tour has got to be sitting there and saying, okay, we're getting. It's now starting to come from all directions. Right? It's coming from this Dubai or Saudi Arabia group,
which is a never-ending
stream of money.
A stream of money.
They have as much as they want to spend, and then you got the Norman group, which whether they're tied together or not, I have no idea. But the tour's got to be looking ahead and saying, we've got to do something to make sure that we maintain our position as the top spot in the world.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm not there having to make figure out what to do.
And then and the way our country is degressing, not progressing, is listen. You ain't first, you're last. That's all there is to it.
Right.
I mean, it's just nuts. So I'm not going to get into the political thing, but man, is it crazy.
Hey, I got to ask you, because this was a hilarious story. When you were living at Belfair, you were living there or you were a member there?
I was living there.
And the President's Cup story.
Oh.
You got to tell that story.
Anyway, I'm playing this guy. I'm not going to say his name.
No, you have to say name.
No. So anyway, it's like a really tight match, and we're at 8, par 3 west. 8, we're at 8, par 3 west. Dead even. I hooked my ball a little left under that big live oak.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some vines. Now, this is hazard, and I know it's hazard, so there's some vines hanging from the tree. So I go to hit my ball, and I drag my club back, and I hit the vine, and I hit the ball. So he starts screaming, and I grounded my club in the hazard because the vine was touching the ground. And I'm like, I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? Well, anyway, long story short, picked up my ball. I told the guy, like, you know what, I'm done. You win, I don't care. Because this had been going on. I'd actually patted down some spike marks, a couple of greens before that.
And this was before the rules changed.
Yeah.
Just a few years ago.
And it was just a never-ending thing. So I just told the guy, I said, I'm done. I'm out. You win. I'm out of here. So, and then he wants me to sign the card. And he's like, well, you conceding? I'm like, no, I'm done. So I wouldn't sign the card. Well, he got violent. He's like, you got to concede. I'm like, well, I'm not conceding. I'll let him. Anyway, the rest ended up in court at Belfair.
Yeah, and you had an interesting attorney.
Oh, yeah. It was so, I got to tell you this. So all the attorneys who weren't attorneys at Belfair, anyway, they want to suspend me because I honestly, I tried to run over the guy in the parking lot with my truck, but I missed him. I was so infuriated with this guy. And golf's not that important to me. So,
well, you gave the guy the match. It's like, okay, you win.
You're done. Well, I wouldn't sign the card. So he got insulted about it. I'm not signing the card. You win. I'll let him know in the pro shop. You win. That's the end of the story. What was his deal?
Was it mandatory that cards be signed?
I have no idea. I never heard of that.
I mean, that's a tour.
I wasn't even keeping score. He was keeping score. I didn't even have a card.
Oh, he's just reading too many.
And by the way, on the first tee, he wouldn't ride with me. He said, we're going to take separate cards. I'm like, that's okay. It's all right. I don't mind. So anyway, during my hearing, they want me to. So I'm like, I'm not coming to. At the time, I was still a member. I sold my house and I was living in Berkeley. Mm-hmm. So they're coming to Berkeley Hall for the hearing for whatever reason. So these guys show, I promise you, Coach Kefkin, and you could tell him I said so, hey, Coach, had his briefcase and his jacket. Well, Tim Weeby, my buddy Tim was my attorney, who wasn't an attorney. So they came over and it was like, well, they wanted me to defend myself. I don't have anything to defend myself for. Well, anyway, they showed up. Tim was my attorney, and I won't say what went on there, but anyway, and then it went before the board, and I want to throw this out there. Jim DeLeon, he went to the plate. He said, "Man, you guys don't understand what." Anyway, they threw it out, and that was the end of it, and. That was a fun time, though.
I remember you guys are talking about that for weeks.
I had more fun losing to that guy than if we would have finished. Oh, me and my buddy Tim, we you know Tim.
I remember he said, "I'm going to be Dondi's attorney."
Oh,
said, attorney in what?
He was my attorney twice because Berkeley.
Was that when you had all the giant
I had
Christmas
to blow up for
dolls?
Christmas, and my neighbors knifed them, chopped them up.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Got a little violent over Christmas decorations.
Tim was my attorney for that, too. And I'll never forget Adrian said, well, Tim's not an attorney. I'm like, well, he is today. Anyway, so they suspended me for having blow-ups. Seriously. For having blow-ups in my yard. So, like 4 days later, me and Tim and I don't remember who, we were out playing golf, and here comes Adrian. He goes, oh, Mr. Wall, I'm sorry, you're suspended from the club. I'm like, okay, that's good. He goes, well, you're not allowed to play golf. I'm like, okay. So I said, I'm going to keep playing until you let me not pay my dues, then I'll not play. But as long as I'm paying my dues, but I wasn't a violent person. I just didn't do stupid. I mean?
Yeah, they're going to not let you play golf because you had Christmas ornaments in your front yard?
Yeah, and by the way, Pete, so everybody knows this, I had my Christmas ornaments blow-ups for 2 years. The board changed the bylaws, whatever, and said, now you can't have them. So I'm like, well, I'm grandfather. All right. No. When you take them down for so long, then you violate the grandfather clause.
What do you mean take them down for so long? What the hell was that?
I only had them up for Christmas.
Right.
If I would have left them up year-round, then they would have been grandfathered. That's what they tried to tell me. I'm like, you know what? So anyway, thank the Lord, I got out of Berkeley Hall, and
When were you? Was that around the time? Because that was you guys were having a lot of fun. Is that when you guys was it shooting squirrels off the roof?
I know snakes.
Snakes.
You know, it's funny because I had a snake on my roof one time.
Was it Tim had the AR-15s?
And Tim was
Shooting
trying.
snakes off the roof.
I said, Tim, you're going to shoot a hole in my roof. Well, he shot, and there goes shingles all over the place. I'm like, dude, you got to quit shooting. But I got to tell you, we had a lot of fun because when golf and golf communities become all about rules and regulations and boards and all that, that's why I don't mind telling you, I'm a member at Cheechessie Creek now.
Yeah.
I'm out of Berkeley. I'm out of all of those places. There's a one-man show over there.
Mm-hmm. And autocracy. That's the best way to run a club.
If you don't like it, just leave. Mm-hmm. See, when you're in Berkeley and all those places, and I'm not bashing on them because they're beautiful communities, you're stuck. You can't. If you decide you don't want to pay $20,000 a year, too bad. Mm-hmm. Sorry. But man, when we had our Wednesday game over there, we had so much fun. It was, I mean, I got to tell you this was the best. There was a security guard in there, and his last name was Crow. He was a nice guy. So my buddy lived at the end of Belfair Boulevard, so we would go down there and shoot skeet down there and throw him off the dock, and here comes Crow. And he's like having a fit. He comes up there. We had shotguns and shells and
on the dock.
No, on the back of Tim's golf cart. I mean, there's guns and shells everywhere. So anyway, Crow comes up. He says, "Hey, we have a report of people shooting back here." So I was just messing with Crow. I said, "Oh, that's the Graves. That's Mrs. Graves. And he said, "You know, I knew it was that Mrs. Graves' grandson.
Because Graves Road ran
the Graves dock was right there." So I just, and that wasn't true, by the way. He said, "I knew it was
he didn't
him."
see all the shells and the guns sitting in the cart.
It was so funny. And old Crow, he was a good guy, man. He was so nice. I mean, listen, you could send anybody at the gate, it didn't matter who it was, and he'd let, yeah, come on in, let's go, come on. Oh, it was so much fun. But you know, when John Reed, when he turned Berkeley over to the members, that was the end of it. It was so much fun over there. I mean, that was the best golfing times of my life, having that Wednesday game.
And is RB back over there?
He is.
What about Vic? Is he back in there?
Vic's gone. He was at Hampton Hall, I think. I think he just sold his house in there. He's floating around between North Carolina and the mountains in Georgia.
And what about Thad? I haven't seen
Thad's around. He's still building.
Still building?
Yeah, I'm not sure where Thad is, but he's in the area. Mm-hmm. Oh man, he was just genuine people.
Right.
They were just all RB, Thad, Vic, Tim, Perry Washington, who was in
I remember Perry Washington.
Belfair at the time.
Is he still around?
Dave Bianchi, Brian Finnerty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these were all good, really good people. And, you know, our biggest problem, what we were accused of most of, was just having fun. We didn't, you know, when you start taking golf and life that serious, you got to get a new sport.
Right.
But those are all good, really good people. We just had, you know, that's why we're trying to get a spot for the Wednesday game. But, you know, when we're talking about golf, everywhere's so busy, it just doesn't.
You can't get it?
You can't. It's just like I was going to go play. If you play golf at Cheechessie today, 4 o'clock.
It's that busy.
It's that busy. So I called out.
And that's a club for anyone that doesn't know that there's not a housing development. I mean, there's cottages and some houses.
A handful,
but it's not. And it's a private club.
And by the way, it's not open to the public.
Right, it's a private club.
And I got to believe, I don't know this for sure, I'm going to guess 70% of the members live in another state. Mm-hmm. But these guys, like I said, there's no dictatorship. It's just, here's what it is. You're in or you're out. If you don't like what we're providing for you, just leave.
Right.
And you don't owe them nothing. You just leave. So I don't know. I kind of like that part of it. You don't answer to a board. I'm not that anyone has to answer to the board, but the board seems to make all the rules for everyone.
Right.
Whether you like it or not, this is the way it is.
Yeah, and Dave Proctor, who owns Chichesi, I mean, he
Good guy.
he's a very good guy. He doesn't need the money, but
Nope.
it is still run like a business in the sense that he wants to make it enjoyable for people, and he's going to create things that make that process more enjoyable for everybody.
Here's the
Because he
difference.
wants people to come there, and look what he's done with it.
Here's the difference with Dave Proctor and a board. Dave is providing a golf environment that you're going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very affordable, and this is what it is. Whereas if you got a board, this is the way you're going to do it. Period. There's no.
It's more like a free market versus a dictator, or not a dictator, but a communistic, socialistic environment. To make it very
Hey,
simple
you
in
said
today's
it, not
world.
me.
Right, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And Chichesi, as you said, you can't get out there.
Nope.
It's packed.
Nope. Well, and is that a bad thing? No. So what I typically do, and what's really nice about Chichesi versus most of these clubs, they've got if you want to play on Men's Day, which is a great time to go play, it's 12:30 on Wednesday or 12:30 on Saturday. Well, that's perfect for somebody like me that works.
Mm-hmm.
They set it up. You just show up and play. So if you want to take your own team, bring your own team.
Is it still walking only?
No, actually, after 11:30, I think 11:30, you can take a cart.
Mm-hmm.
So, having a bad hip, I always take a cart. But no, it's a lot of fun playing golf there, and it's very affordable.
And great staff. The staff's always been great.
Oh man, listen, I've been in a lot of places. If I could have gotten Chichesi at the beginning, I wouldn't have went anywhere else. That's my opinion.
Do you think? Would you say that they're in competition with Secession, or there's enough of a difference that Chichesi kind of appeals to a lot of locals, say within 100 miles, where Secession would be more national?
I don't think there's a competition there at all. If there's a competition, it would be. I mean,
it's not quite the same product, so to speak.
Not right? Really, because Secession is a little more old school.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the originals versus, Chichesi's a little, since Proctor took over, it's kind of the new kid in town.
Kind of like Coke and Pepsi.
Exactly. So, but they both have a wonderful thing to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Secession is a great golf club.
Have they built the learning center out at Chichesi? I know there was a lot of talk about that.
No, they haven't built anything per se, but Luke's out there teaching now, and I mean, the other end of the range is nice. I mean, how nice do you really need it? It's grass and a golf ball. You can have a roof, whatever. If it's raining, I don't want to be hitting balls anyway.
Mm-mm.
I don't. But it's great. Man, I love it out there.
It's a neat place.
It really is.
I remember I was at Spring Island when Chafin and Light and their group did that. And then they just got caught in some bad times.
Yep.
Timing was bad on that.
They did.
That and the one they had up in the mountains. Just
right.
bad timing.
Can't think of the name of that.
Balsam Mountain?
Yeah.
I'll tell you an interesting story about that group because what was his name? He worked for them. Tommy, he might have grew up with him. He was about your age, shorter guy. His son was a good golfer. Tommy Baisden. You remember Tommy?
I don't.
I think he was working at Kalawasi when I was out there. And this was back in 2000. So he was telling me one day back then that Chafin and Light had the drop on what is now Palmetto Bluff, getting that from Union Camp.
Yeah.
And the story that they told me, I'll leave that very wide open for interpretation, was that one of the members at Spring Island, his brother he was the real estate representative, I think, for the golf division of Duke Energy. And he was coming down here because in the 2000, everyone, this was a place that was wide open. It was still growing. And he was having trouble finding an office, and they let him use an office space next to Jim Chafin's office. And he more or less eavesdropped on his conversations.
Oh.
And Duke undercut the Chafin group on that property. But in hindsight, it turned out better because they would have got that around 2003 or 4, maybe 5. By the time they got the infrastructure,
See you later.
they would have been out in 2007.
Yeah.
They would have lost big time.
Yeah.
So in the long run, it worked out okay. That's just a little more local golf lore.
Yeah, but once again, it's all about the money. Who's got the most, But I'm going to tell you, it's just the greatest thing that ever happened to Chief Jesse with Dave Proctor. There's no question about it. Because it's like, there's nothing around here better than that. I mean, of course, you'll get 14 different opinions from 14 different people, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, the overwhelming majority of people love going out there.
I do, man.
I mean, even the guys I know in Savannah are joined. At Savannah Golf Club, there's a number joined over there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's nice because if you don't have time to put a game together or a group together, you just pick up the phone, call them. Yep, we're putting you in. So
what has golf taught you that you didn't know before, or what have you learned most from playing golf?
Well, what I learned most is it's not about what you know, it's who you know. It's meeting people. What taught me the most about golf is who I met playing golf. Man, I met some really good people playing golf. So that would be my number one. It's not about what I do not. Learning, it's who you meet when you go out there and play. That's what golf taught me.
A lot of good people.
Oh, listen, I met some lifelong friends on the golf course that I would have never known if I didn't play golf.
And would you say it helped with the various businesses you had in the island, and the island being a close knit community? Even I call it the tri-town area. Ridgeland or Quad, Ridgeland, Beaufort, Bluffton, and Hilton Head. It obviously had to help your business out with the people you meet and networking and.
Well, for most of my life, I've been, as you know, in the bike rental business on Hilton Head. Well, I would play golf with people at most communities who their family comes down, they go to Hilton Head, they rent bikes. They didn't even know I rented bikes. But now you know, and hey, call up, we'll give you a little, and now that I'm in the seafood industry also. So, listen, people love fresh seafood. People, unless, when you communicate with these people, they may or may not know that what you do. But if I'm telling you up front, hey, here's what I do, it's definitely, golf is definitely a tremendous asset. Whether you're in business or, like I say, who you meet, Pete, it makes a big difference. It's like selling real estate. Oh, well, Pete, yeah, how you doing? I didn't know you sold real estate. Well, maybe I want to buy a house on Hilton Head. It's all about meeting different people.
It all comes down, with all the technology in the world and the social media and the Instagram and everything, you can post and everyone looks happy, but it always comes down to being a people person.
Listen, if you're some guy who doesn't do Instagram or Facebook, how would you know unless I met you?
Right.
That's what it's about for me. It's all about face to face.
Yep.
And when I'm going to tell you, like I told you in the beginning of this conversation, golf is a great environment. It's just a good environment.
If you could go back 20, 30 years ago and tell the 20-year-old Dondi, give him a piece of advice or a couple pieces of advice, what would they be?
As far as golf is?
Anything. Just golf, life.
Wow. Let me think about that one. 20-year-old. You know what? I'm going to say this, and I don't really care. Don't move into Berkeley Hall. That'd be my number one. Yeah. So, you know what, though? You just research before you make a move as far as the golfing. What do I want to be? What do I want to play? What do I want to do? I just, and listen, Berkeley Hall is a wonderful place. It's just not for me. That's all I can tell you. So it just.
So would you say make sure that the culture where you're looking to relocate is a culture that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Understand the culture of a place better before you make a jump.
But you gotta don't jump to conclusion. Don't think, and, when I moved into Berkeley Hall, and when I moved in there, it was the Taj Mahal. It was fabulous, Belfield. But things change.
Mm-hmm.
And although it may not be for me, there's a billion other people it is for. And that's okay. I mean, that's fine. It's just...
That's the thing about this area. I mean, I think last I counted it, in southern Beaufort County, so south of the Broad River, I think there's 41 or 42 golf courses. And people say, oh, we got all these golf courses. I say, yeah, but they're all a little bit different.
They are.
There's something for everybody. There's 41 flavors, we can call it. And there's something different for everybody, whether it's a private residential course or it's a public or it's a resort. There's some type of golfing for everybody around here.
Yeah, and then, but it's not just don't move into Berkeley Hall. For me personally, these gated communities with these tremendous dues, and it's just not my thing. It's just, I'd rather live out, and growing up in Ridgeland, and it is a different, each club has a different culture. Like, listen, Berkeley Hall had water acts. It was nice. But it's just not for me. It's just, Sarge at Jasper Country Club and
Penny Branch.
Cheechessie, Penny Branch. I like Cheechessie. It's a no-brainer.
It's kind of a combination of all of it.
Exactly.
The private of the Hilton Head Bluffton, the almost the country feel of the Ridgeland. Yeah. In that area, it's a perfect blend.
Yeah, and I literally grew up my childhood, most of my 12 miles from Cheechessie. And now that I'm there playing golf, are you kidding? It don't get much better than that.
I think you told me your family's the last southern plantation owners.
Still are. Well, I don't know about now, but yeah, my grandfather in 1936, he bought Fickling Plantation, and then my dad, his brother, bought Roseland Plantation. But typically, the plantation, because see, where we live is a King's Grant. You own down to the low water mark, which is kind of, all your plantation owners come from the north.
Mm-hmm.
It's
been like that for a long time.
Oh, forever.
Every time there's a dip in the market, you get the big conglomerates out of the north coming to the south and grabbing big tracts of land.
And I'll be honest with you, this environment we live in, these guys from the north, these plantations now would be like, okay, how much is that all? Yeah, I'll take one of those. Give me one of those.
And they're 1,000 acres or more,
right?
2,000, 3,000 acres.
Oakity Club is thousands of acres. But what they play, Von Scotty and those guys paid for that back then. These guys today, that'd be like a vacation for. Money to these. You know what it's like. These guys have, these hedge fund guys. This is like, it's just like, I cleaned out a garage for a real estate. I do little things like in the bike business. You get realtors to send you bike business. You do little perks for them. Mm-hmm. This guy didn't get the garbage. Blah blah. I cleaned out a garage on Surf Scooter for a real estate company. The guy, I'm pretty sure he was from Morristown, New Jersey. Bought an $8 million house in Sea Pine. Never even saw it. He always saw his pictures on the internet. Yep, I'll take that.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I'll take it. But this is a different animal now. These Wall Street guys are loaded up. Although most of your plantation owners, like the Clarks, they own Spring Hill. Congaree was people don't really realize this, but Congaree was Devant Plantation. Albert Burrow owned Devant Plantation. Albert owned Eagle Pencil. You know, if you wrote with a pencil, it probably said Eagle on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but his degree of wealth is nothing compared to these guys now. But I mean, when he owned Devant, I hunted and fished. It was, and it still is. Congaree is one of the nicest.
That's a pretty place.
It's unbelievable, but it hasn't really changed. The only difference in Congaree now and then is there's a golf course there. You can still hunt there, and yeah, it's just. But the level of money now is a whole new ball game.
It's amazing. It's like, where's it coming from?
I don't. Everybody knows more than somebody else.
Do you think that the Congaree model is going to continue in that area? Because once you get up north of here and west across 95, there's really no golf courses.
Well, here's the difference. Is like I said before, there's property out there that's to these guys is like free.
Mm-hmm.
It's so affordable until like, is that, well, you know, give me one of those and give me one of these, and it's just like Cherokee up
in Yemassee.
Yeah, it's millions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even. You don't quote me, but I think it's like millions, even if you can join. And then, but is there room? Absolutely.
I think they have 23 members.
Something like that.
End of the year, they divide up the cost.
They divide up the cost.
And here's your bill.
Yeah. And it was so incredible about that. They're not really looking. They're not out there looking for members.
Mm-mm.
We don't. I don't even know if they'll even take another member.
I don't think they will, because I've known the pro Mark Tomodolsky for 20-some years.
Nice guy.
Very nice guy.
Really good.
And
guy.
I think that they're not looking for more members.
No. So that's just the level.
Not like it would be hard to get. They only have 23.
So you take these members versus way back in the day, these plantation owners. This guy was a plantation owner. This guy's like a member, but it's the same thing. It's just the level of money now is. But to answer your question, I think you're going to see more of those.
I think so, because you got, Cherokee kind of was the first. Before it was even, no one even knew about it.
You know, people don't really know this, but David Duvall and Ernie Els played the Battle of Bighorn there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Cherokee, they're like, what's Cherokee?
Yep. That was after the Masters because I remember Mark told me they were so worn out from the Masters, because Tiger beat them, but all of them were in the hunt, like up until the last couple holes on Sunday. And Cherokee had they had it at the greens at 13, and the rough was thick, and they had cut some really tough holes. And those guys were worn out, and God bless them that they kept to their commitment, because they were both playing in the Heritage. And after the front nine, both their agents, I think, came up to the guys and said, "You don't change the pins on the back nine to make this a little easier," and we're pulling them both off the course. So that they went ahead and did that. But yeah, but that was only notoriety really that they had. And that was back when Peter DeSavary was a developer, when he owned it.
And what I never understood is, why is this the only time? I mean, why? Because it had to be. I honestly, I don't think they wanted the publicity.
No.
I kind of think they wanted to be, okay, you know what? We've had enough of this. See you later.
People that really have a lot don't want any light shining down on them.
Right. And if it's, and, you know, the nice thing about places like there, the golf is just another added asset, you know, the hunting and it's just.
You know, I had that idea that I told Tim about 20-some years ago that said, you get the guys together and I'll help run it for you, but make it get some land in Ridgeland and make a national golf club that's out in the middle of nowhere, super private. You can do whatever you want. You want to come in, have fun, shoot guns, play golf, shoot skeet on the 8th tee box. No one cares. And he told me not long ago, he said, yeah, you were right on that one. Yeah. But a hoopy, I mean, they're another one that's in that same mold. what's there's Congaree, a Hoopie. What's the other one? Was a Hoopie in Metter? There's like 3 or 4 of them right now that are the way out in the middle of nowhere, private clubs, limited play.
I know who you're talking. I can't think of it.
Spring Island was like that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean Spring Island was another, and it still is a gym. It is. I mean, I can, back in the day, because I grew up on Oakity River. My parents always had a home. That was our summer home, and you could only access Spring Island by boat. So, I mean, you know what Spring Island's like. I mean, it's. You
go out there, you think there's nothing there.
But it's still premier.
Yes,
it really is. I mean, I don't even think you've. Personally, I think golf really just started with the money part of it. Congaree has another place in North Carolina.
Diamond Creek.
But these different spots, I don't even know if Congaree taking members now. I'm pretty sure that they're not.
That's amazing. You're an elite club. You're you're up there maybe a fraction below Augusta, Pine Valley.
And by the way, Pete, when you go out there and play, there's 3 groups on the whole golf course.
It's like the place is yours.
Yeah. So, I mean, you go up to the halfway house and it's like eating in a 5-star restaurant. But yet, we're tapped out here. We don't want any. I'm thinking to myself, man.
I think you're right. I think that north of 95 and parallel to it, let's say within 50 miles, because you got to be somewhere near an airport. Or shit, that if the plantation's big enough, they're buying, they just put their own landing strip.
Right.
But I think there's going to be more popping up. As everyone sees these models working over and over and over. And all the money that's coming out of these highly restricted areas that people want to be in South Carolina. I got a buddy that manages a lot of the plantation houses up there, and he goes, I don't know what it is about the Ridgeland area, but all this big money keeps buying.
Well, they extended the airport there, too, so they could fly into there. But it's going back to the same old thing. If you're some Wall Street guy, and you got to, you can buy this property, you can build a golf course, you can do this, it's going to cost you $5 million. Well, I made more than that last year.
Made more than it last month.
Yeah. So what does that really mean to them? Nothing. So, $5 million in Jasper County goes a long way. And that's why I think it's so inviting. So, I mean, it's just, man. And there's still a lot of opportunity in Jasper. There's so much property undeveloped there. And I got to believe, because I know that Cypress Woods, they've sold off outer parcels. Cypress Woods is huge. Turkey Hill.
How big are those plantations?
Well, at one time, I think it was 57,000. Don't quote me. I think it was 57,000 acres.
Holy shit.
But it would go all the way out into Tillman, like miles. And, so they sell out these the Millbanks is just wonderful people. They own Cypress. They own Turkey Hill. But as my opinion is, as the generations move along, they're not. Because like when Jeremiah Millbank, who would be the oldest Millbank, I would hunt there. They were like, I don't even know if Jeremiah's still living. But they were all about hunting. Golf meant nothing to them. It was all about hunting. When the next generation comes along, maybe they're not, New York, wherever, maybe they're not so much into hunting. So, it's just, money changes everything, and there's so much, I don't know, because all of these plantations, though, still have the original owners, except for Congaree.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but, and Spring Hill, which is Josh Clark, the Clark family owns Spring Hill. He's still going at it. He's got to be in his 90s. Just genuine people. But he could care less about golf. But at some point, somebody else is going to come along and, oh, wow, look at this place. Same thing that happened at Devant. And if it ever popped, then there's another congaree right there.
Right. It's going to be a whole bunch of them.
So it's something to think about. Do I know that? No, I don't.
No, but the history of the area, and you've seen it better than anybody. You've seen Hilton Head change. Then it moved into Bluffton change. Then kind of all that Okatee area changed. And that's the next, that's the only area it can go to.
Yeah.
Right? So it has the infrastructure.
But if you'd have told me 20 years the Vant was going to be concrete, I thought you were, no, sorry. No, that is impossible. But even Cherokee, it's more rural than Devant, or as rural. I mean,
you drive right past it, never know it's right up.
Never know it was
on the highway.
Yeah. So I mean, you really got to go up in the woods to get to Congaree.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the prettiest drive in, though, isn't it? It could be better in Belfair. It's at least as good. Those oak trees are so big.
It's something else. I mean, I never will forget the first time I played at Congaree. It was almost like from the tee to the green was the same grass. It was almost like you could putt off the tee.
Mm-hmm.
It was that good. I mean, it still is that good. And the fact that they brought that Pomona championship there, that just put Jasper County, not that it hasn't slowly, Ridgeland got on the map. It's going nuts now.
Good.
But, you know, it's a good thing, bad thing. You know, change is good, and, you know, creating more of an environment for employees and whatnot is good. But you still hate to see those old plantations, you know, kind of
disappear, fade away.
But then Congaree, although it's still nice, they didn't really change it a lot. They just added a golf course.
And they kept a number of the old buildings there.
Oh, yeah. They moved them around, yeah.
Same way Spring did for a long
time. They
moved
those live oak trees around. It was bizarre what they did.
Spring kept the Walker House for a long time.
Yeah. No, I don't really think the Congaree changed at all.
Mm-mm.
They just moved things around, and they added. And when they added things, they gave it the same appearance. It's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's just so nice there.
Let's want to wrap up with a few rapid fire questions. I call it the emergency 9.
I'm ready. Questions. Let them rip.
All right.
If I don't know the answer, I'll make one up.
If you were to make the Ryder Cup team, you know how they have a walk-up song now. What would be your walk-up song? What would they play when you were walking to the first hole?
Oh, man. Mike Korn, Walking in Memphis. Guaranteed.
All right. Your go-to drink when playing golf?
Tequila, blue agave.
That didn't take long. You knew that answer.
Got 4 of them out there in my truck now if you need one. I keep them in there in case I go play golf. I got a bad hip. Blue agave. Jose Cuervo, blue agave.
All right. We'll call them and see if they want to sponsor the show.
Yeah. Hey, tell them I'm in.
All right. Best course you ever played?
Congaree.
Really? That is, it's awesome.
Yeah, I've been invited to Augusta twice, and both times there was an ice storm. I didn't get to go.
An ice storm?
Yep.
Oof.
Matter of fact, one time we were in Augusta, going to play the next day, and it was like the biggest ice storm you ever saw. Twice that happened to me. Congaree.
Let's see. If you had to buy stock in any golfer on a professional right now, who would it be?
Right now?
Mm-hmm. For let's say the next 3 years.
Dustin Johnson.
Okay. That's pretty hard to argue that one.
You asked.
Well, if you walked in a casino, what's the first thing you're playing?
Oh, that would be. I got to think about that for a second. Caribbean stud poker, if they have it.
So I remember we'd playing that Pro-Am in Vegas, and you'd be out. I had my own idea what you were going to answer, but Caribbean stud poker is a good one. I don't even know how to play it, so that's above.
Well, it's kind of a blind draw thing, and they usually have it. I learned that on a cruise. It's a lot of fun.
So you're watching golf on a Sunday afternoon. What's the 3 things that you're going to eat or drink?
I don't usually drink unless I'm playing, so I'm going to drink water. I guess I'm going to be eating wings. Probably. What was it?
Eat or drink? What are 3 things you're going to eat or drink?
I'm going to drink water and eat wings.
All right. Let's see. With the new James Bond movie out, who's your favorite James Bond? Who was the best one?
Oh man, that. Moore.
Roger Moore?
Yeah. Although this new guy, he's pretty good. He's not big on his family, but I used to really like him. He said he's not leaving in his money to his family. I'm like,
really?
Yeah. He says, my kids, they're on their own.
Ooh. Man, hopefully he's just trying to make them work, and they'll give it to him in the end.
Maybe. I hope so.
What do you look forward to more, the Masters or the Ryder Cup?
Oh, definitely the Masters. Yeah.
And then the last one, in your opinion, golfer, who's the greatest of all time?
Everybody's going to tell you Jack Nicklaus, but I really liked Arnold Palmer.
Really?
I just loved him, man. It's not all about how many times you won.
What you did for the game.
It's just and Jack, Arnold Palmer was he's a genuine guy. I'm going to go with him.
It's not no one's going to argue, I don't think.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been awesome. It's always good to catch up.
Oh man, it was a pleasure.
I enjoyed
Thank you.
We'll do it again.
I love it.
We'll go play. We'll have some tequila.
Guaranteed. Blue agave.
All right. Thanks, Dondi.
Hi, buddy.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed it, you can find more information on today's episode and other topics at golf360.blog. There you'll find the show notes and links related to this episode, as well as any other episode that we've done so far to date. If you're interested in improving your game and would like to learn more from yours truly by taking a private lesson, a half-day or multi-day school, club or putter fitting, you can reach me through the blog site or by email, pete@golf360.blog. So some of you may be asking, what is the golf paradigm? All you have to do is click on the homepage while on my blog site to discover how you can start playing better than you ever thought possible. Or you can simply sign up, again, on the blog page for my instructional videos where I give regular tips on all areas of the game to include the swing, club design and fitting, health, fitness and nutrition, the mental aspects, and equally as important, the integration of all those things together. I'm also on social media, and you can find me at The Golf Paradigm. That's PARADIGM, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, also under the same name, The Golf Paradigm. Facebook is usually the best way to reach me for questions and or comments, and I look forward to hearing what all of you have to say. This podcast is brought to you in part by Old South Golf Links. A short ride across a bridge from Hilton Head Island is one of the area's finest golf courses and a hidden treasure. Set up on towering pines and ancient oaks with sweeping marsh vistas, truly makes Old South Golf Links a one-of-a-kind golfing experience. The Clyde Johnson design was named one of the top 10 new public courses when it opened, and it also takes full advantage of the natural beauty of the Lowcountry. Old South is a fun and unique challenge for golfers of every skill level and a favorite of both locals and visitors. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular, you'll be treated and feel like family. From the bag drop to check-in at the fully stocked pro shop with both men's and women's apparel, to breakfast or lunch before or after your round, the staff is always ready and willing to help. Experience for yourself why Old South is one of the premier golf courses in the Hilton Head area and why it will quickly become a favorite of yours too. Visit them in person or online at www.oldsouthgolf.com, or to make it tee time, simply call the pro shop at 843-785-5353.